Hello and welcome to episode 258 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with socials.
The Wolf 77 Club on Facebook and Instagram, at 77 Club Podcast on Twitter. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. Please subscribe.
Jack Williams is here.
Hello.
And I think we're lucky to have him back because skiing for Bayliss nearly went horribly wrong, didn't it, Dan?
Got a bit hairy, yeah.
But you're here now, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Go on, tell us about
ski down mountains in blizzards. It's a very silly idea. It can get you hurt.
Some very, very good advice.
You say that, but haven't 10 people died today?
5 in Switzerland, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might have been the same storm that we got caught in.
It's very dangerous. Anyway,
we
start with a two.
Play silly games, win silly prizes, I think is the.
It's descended into chaos already. Harry, let's start with a 2-1 win at Molineux. And firstly, we actually won a bet, and it was quite fortunate that the man who placed the bet reminded us that we had placed the bet and that we had won the bet.
Yeah, Chris. He reminded us about 9 o'clock Saturday night, and we didn't remember putting it on. But yeah, nice little 2-1 winner, finally. And we actually predicted 2-1 on the podcast last week. So there we go. Finally won a bet. So we were probably about 55 grand in debt lifetime now. So we're catching up. And that was a nice little bonus, wasn't it?
Every little helps. I mean, we started off though. I mean, it looked like 4 at the back, the 2 in midfield. You were thinking it would maybe be the 3 in the middle, but Gary O'Neill knows best. But it wasn't the best start. And when he changed it up, actually thanks to injuries, the look seemed to change.
Yeah, the starting lineup. I think the 2 surprises were, well, I wouldn't say a surprise with Santi Bueno because he's been brilliant, so I didn't mind him being in. But Fraser leading the line, it was like a 4-2-3-1, wasn't it? And as you mentioned, after 10 minutes, Bellegarde goes off injured and Tommy Doyle comes on. So then we do have the 3 midfielders. And yeah, first half, thought Fulham was slightly the better team. They had 2 golden opportunities, one from Wilson, which he put just wide of the post. I think Iwobi was it hit the bar. And we tried, we weren't awful. I thought Fraser was working hard first half. But yeah, we were lucky to go in at 0-0 at half time. And with the injuries as well, with Neto pulling up, it could have been a bit of a nightmare, but thankfully it turned out a fantastic win.
One of those days, Jack, where a tactical decision pays dividends. Obviously, losing Neto in that first half, they hit the bar as well, didn't they, Fulham? What were your thoughts? Because obviously to lose Neto was awful and you never want it to happen. However, Ryan Aït-Nouri in that role was absolutely sublime.
Yeah, well, it was a really big win for a couple of reasons. Obviously, firstly, because we lost against Newcastle last week. So it was a game we're looking at to really get something from, and against a team who are in form. So it looked like it could be another banana skin fixture, really. And then when you throw it in, Bellegarde getting injured after 5 minutes and then Neto being injured just before half time, you're thinking, God, what's going on with our luck lately, man? Like this is just really, really hurting us, these injuries now. It's getting beyond a joke. And as a result of it, players had to sort of chip in and play in unnatural positions, really. Aït-Nouri is one of them, as you mentioned. Lamina as well played God knows all over the place. He was up front at one point as well. That's towards the end. But I think we looked a lot better, particularly that first 20 minutes in the second half when Aït-Nouri was playing a bit further forward. I think it actually really did help us. So it was one of those where everyone dug in and we got the result. I've seen a lot of Fulham fans moan about it, and I'd be moaning if I was them too. But if you don't take your chances, they had 2 really big chances in the first half, didn't they? The through ball for the 1-on-1, and the time they hit the bar when it's probably easier for them to score, to be honest. And they didn't take them. But it was one of these games in the first half where I was thinking, I think we had more of the ball, but similar to Newcastle, we just did very little with it. I know Neto went off injured, but the occasions he was in the game, I think he made bad decisions, to be honest. He was a little bit selfish on occasions. So it was one of those where I was thinking, look, we just need to get to half time here because everyone's a bit disorganised. Fulham are the better team. They look like the more attacking threat. Get to half time, see what Gary O'Neill can do, and response straight away. And that was when we won the game, really, that period just after half time. So yeah, it was a really big win, to be honest. And we did well to weather the storm as well, because Fulham did come back at us a little bit towards the end of the second half. I know they scored very, very late on, but even then, because it was 8 minutes gone on the clock of injury time at that point, even I wasn't worried about them scoring then, I don't think, because it's the ref blew straight away, didn't he? But some really good performances up and down the pitch, to be honest. There's a few players who I'll probably call out for the man of the match shout, but just credit to them for difficult circumstances anyway. and then you lose 2 players through injury. So you've completely got to, everyone's got to chip in and play in different positions, and they really pull through for us.
But I just want to talk out what turned out to be the winner. I mean, you would call it fortunate, wouldn't you? Semedo, I thought, had a brilliant game, and our fullbacks getting in those positions, scoring goals, and it makes such a difference.
I totally agree, and I think winning from those positions is so important, because we did ride our luck and Fulham missed their chances, but so many times Wolves wouldn't have gone on and turned the game around, and we did. It was slightly fortunate, the goal, but nothing that we didn't deserve in that second half. I thought Wolves put in a good shift. I thought Gomez was exceptional. And Lamina, Jesus wept. It's like prime Kante. It's everywhere. So I'm pretty chuffed with it, right? It wasn't our best performance first half, and Fulham had their chances, but they've beaten good sides recently. So we did it. Sarr was superb, made some great saves in there as well. And Wolves did the job in the end at home. So from what you can take the negatives from, I think there are far more positives to talk about.
Definitely. I mean, Harry, Lamina is a name that pops up. I think Ait-Nouri will probably get the shout for man of the match just because of the goal and some of the skill from Ait-Nouri. You see some of the videos doing the rounds on TikTok that Wolves have put out. But I think, Gomez, Lamina, Ait-Nouri. Who was your man of the match?
Yeah, it is Ait-Nouri, but like you said, there's a lot of people to mention. Lamina was everywhere, like Baelish just said. Gomez, he was brilliant for the second goal, Gomez. Unbelievable. Ended up setting up Semedo, didn't he? Although it went down as an own goal. But yeah, Ait-Nouri obviously started off at left back, but at the end, he was basically up front as well, wasn't he? He was up there. Some of his skill, he was out on the right-hand side for that one when he set up Lamina, and Lamina just put it wide. I also think Fraser deserves credit. I know he didn't get a goal. He had a couple of chances, but he don't look out of place when he plays, does he? There's big pressure on him starting. And I mentioned, I think like he was listening to everything Gary O'Neill was saying. He actually defended quite well as well. Like he was tracking back a lot, which is obviously not something you really should be mentioning of a striker, but he did. He was very determined to do all the dirty work as well. But Toti Gomez, when he come on at half time for Neto, what an assist for Ait-Nouri's goal, the way he laid it back, and half the team went and celebrated with Toti Gomez. And Jose Sarr, I'm glad Bayless mentioned that. Some of the saves he pulled off, especially that one when Adama Traore wellied it top corner of his left foot, and he was at full stretch for that one. So Sarr definitely deserves a mention. He kept in the game late on, and if they'd have scored earlier, would have been panicking if they got it back to 2-1 earlier than they did. So yeah, Ait-Nouri is my man of the match, but as you lads have said, there's a lot of contenders.
And Jack, finally, just before we get onto your man of the match shout, I just want to know how you were feeling when Adama Traore came on, because we've now been on in both camps. Had it when he was at Middlesbrough. Somebody who's coming, going to come on and cause havoc and the pace and whatever. And me and Harry, I don't know how you felt, but we were just sat there going, we know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to get the ball, he's going to have a shot, and he's going to put it wide. And to be fair, my heart was in my mouth when Sarr was diving through the air, when, as Harry said, he wellied it and it was going in the top corner.
Exactly the same. I was quite relaxed about the whole thing, particularly when we had a 2-goal cushion. That just makes you a little bit more relaxed all round, doesn't it, really? And you think he might come on and have a moment. It's very unlikely he's going to come on and have 2 moments. But yeah, when he put his foot through that one, I just like, for that split second, you just think, oh, God, no. But luckily, Sarr was equal to it. So yeah, quite relaxed about it, really. And it wasn't a massive game-changing impact from him, really, was it? Apart from probably that one shot. So yeah, quite chilled about it. Man of the match, the 3 that I were going to call out have obviously already been mentioned because everyone's watched the same game. But Ait-Nouri, Lamina, and Jose Sarr were going to be my 3. I think you've got to give it Ait-Nouri. The one other thing I'll add on the Jose Sarr is you guys probably didn't see it because in the first half there was a shot that he actually saved, and it was quite a hard one it was sort of cut back across goal. And it went out for a corner in the end, and he got a hand to it. And that was actually a really difficult save. So that one was quite early on as well. It was before the other 2 chances, and that really did keep us in it. Because, like you say, if we'd gone behind, it would have been could have been a completely different game, and ended up sort of like the Brentford home game recently. So everyone performed well, though, didn't they? I don't think anyone really had a particularly bad performance or anything. It's just the injuries are the thing that everyone's going to talk about. But overall, really pleased because Gary O'Neill got a reaction at half time and everyone chipped in. So just happy with the 3 points because it keeps us in contention, did it now? We were back up to 8th temporarily, and we can start looking at it again now. And it's going to be one of these rides in it where you lose a game, you think you're out of it, and then the next week, if the results go your way and you win, you're back in. So we'll just see how it goes. But I'm not getting carried away just yet. I still think it's very unlikely we'll finish as high as 8th, but let's see.
Dare to dream. Bailey, who's your man of the match?
There are some seriously good candidates, but I think the way Lamina performed puts him over and above. I thought Bueno, as Steve in the comments has said, was superb. Oh, Aït-Nouri, superb. Sarr made some fantastic. I'm still going to stick with Lamina. He was everywhere.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think Aït-Nouri, some of the trickery was brilliant. Just the way that he takes the ball past the midfield is just incredible. Haven't seen it like that for a while. Let's move on to the game that we're all looking
Can I just add one more little thing, just because I've been reading Twitter quite a lot about Fulham, and there's a few things which have just wound me up a little bit, and it's mainly because, as I said previously, the Fulham fans seemed pretty pissed off, really, that they didn't get something from the game. They were saying they should have won, had the better chances. Whatever, happens all the time, but. And then I've seen quite a few comments of not from all the Fulham fans, but some of them just taking the piss out of poverty in Wolverhampton and how the way people there live and these sorts of things. But I'm sort of sat there thinking, like, if you're so much richer than us, why can't you afford a £30 match ticket and a 2-hour train ride? Because if you only take the Stan Cullis quadrant and you can't even sell 800 tickets for a 3 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday when you're in form. I think that's really bad, isn't it? Like, how many teams in the Premier League would not sell that out, really, apart from Brentford and Bournemouth? But I think that's really quite a poor show, really. But there's not many teams. I'd understand if it was a Monday night or something, but not when it's at 3 o'clock on a Saturday.
Jack,
I mean, come on.
They're the happy, clappy football fans of London, aren't they? Like, it's a nice thing to go and do in Southwest London. They're not football fans. Realistically,
watch a boat race afterwards as well, can't you? So that's
you can literally turn round and watch a boat race.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I agree.
On Twitter. Yeah.
They were. Yeah. To be fair, I think I saw the one picture where they're going, "Oh, what's the point?" And they'd walked to the back of the stand and done a shot of
the view.
And just someone came and said, "Well, with that view, you won 1-0. So take it. Take what you can." Let's move on then to the game that we're all looking forward to for different reasons. I am probably going to be in the air on a flight whilst this is happening, much to my despair. So I will not know what is going on. I'm going to start with Bayliss because he is the person that does love the FA Cup and has always sort of been on its side. So Dan, how much are you looking forward to this one? Because you were looking at it with very, very gooey-eyed when it was clear that we were going to be playing Coventry in the quarterfinals.
I'm incredibly excited. The 7:10 from Euston has been booked. I can't wait. I know that we've all repressed what happened the last time we got through to an FA Cup semi-final, but for the majority of that day, it was probably one of the best days of my life. Then the worst.
First 6 minutes, it was brilliant.
I love it, and I can't wait for it. There's something about the FA Cup. I don't know what it is. I think it's the nostalgia of sort of this antiquated view of football and what it used to be, and this very old trophy. But I just love it. So he's going to go strong, isn't he? I think it's the final thing he would have to do to turn around any possible naysayers that are left, of which I don't think there are many at all. So taking your fans to Wembley is just a tick, legend status. Thanks a lot. So I'm all over it.
Jack, how excited are you about this? Obviously, as it gets closer and closer to the game, the excitement does tend to turn up a notch. But obviously, we've been there before. We've had a much tougher game, in my opinion. The last time we got through to this stage of the FA Cup, having beaten Man United. How are you feeling about Coventry City?
At the moment, I'm just looking forward to it. The best thing we could do in the build-up was win a home game the week before. But as with the game at Fulham, actually, a lot hinges on probably Gary O'Neill's press conference the day before when he can reveal who's actually available and what players we've got to choose from. Because what I really don't want to happen is us be even worse in the injury, with the injury worries than we are now, and we end up having to put out a severely weakened team. But just looking forward to it at the moment. If we have a decent team and we turn up, we should get past Coventry and we should be on our way to Wembley. But cup football doesn't work like that, and there's been bigger upsets in the past than a Championship team beating a Premier League team. So we've got to be careful. We've got to prepare in the right way. We've got to take the game seriously. I want the fully strength team that we've got available. I don't really want any massive rotation if it's not needed. But at the moment, it's everything's a bit up in the air, really, isn't it? Because we don't actually know the extent of. There'll be an update, I'm sure, on Neto in the week, but I think his season's probably over. There was talk about Cunha could be back, which would be a massive boost, but at the same time, you probably wouldn't want him starting, would you? He'd just be in and around the squad or on the bench or something. So yeah, it could be a case of just who we've got available could play. But in terms of the occasion and everything, I think it should be a good game. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be a good atmosphere because they're going to bring a lot more than Fulham did because they've got nearly 5,000 tickets. I know it's a bit closer, but my point still stands. So yeah,
it's
just looking
forward to
that.
One, isn't it? It's still a tricky one. This is their cup final as well. Fair enough. They have. I think they've been to Wembley recently, haven't they? In the playoffs potentially.
Yeah, against Luton. They lost to Luton, didn't they?
Yeah. But still, an FA Cup Wembley trip is a bit different to that. And we're depleted. So it is a potential upset there. That's my trepidation at the moment. That's why I'm a little bit not
Harry,
really confident.
What are your thoughts? I mean, they won at the weekend just gone. They beat Watford, which is obviously when we talk about something that we don't like to talk about. But how are you feeling on this one? Are you quietly confident? Are you looking at the injury situation and thinking it could go either way?
I'm very nervous just because of the injuries. If Neto's out, I know if Cunha is back, he will be on the bench. I think that's pretty obvious. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if he goes to a 4 at the back or he goes to 5, because obviously we played 4 at the back against Fulham. Personally, I'd just go 5 because I'm shitting my pants. I'd keep Santi Bueno in there because I think he's played really well. I think it'd be really harsh to drop him. And then if Fraser starts, we just got to hope he's on it. I mean, Coventry, I think the last I checked, they were like 8th or 9th in the Championship. The Albion, West Brom beat them the other week. Does that mean we're going to beat them? I don't know. It'd be nice for Cunha to get on late on and get the winner or something, wouldn't it? But like Jack said, they're bringing a lot of fans. They're going to be loud. They're going to be up for it. And they've got that underdog mentality. And we don't like playing against that, do we? I mean, Fulham were the favourites of the weekend. I don't know if the book has put them as the favourites, but I felt like they were after the run they've been on. And we had that underdog mentality again, and we battled through at the end, a bit like against Brighton with the fans getting behind the team. So I just hope that the fans get behind the team from minute 1 and the South Bank's loud and we get behind them. It'd be nice to get an early goal. But yeah, it's all down to the people who are available. Because if we haven't got Bellegarde, Neto, if Cunha's not even in the squad, like what are we playing? You're probably looking at a 5-3-2, like I said before the Fulham game, with Doyle, Gomez and Lamina. Maybe Lamina plays a bit higher up like he was at times against Fulham. Maybe Aït-Nouri plays higher up because someone's just put in the comments Aït-Nouri right wing's like a prime Messi at the moment. So him cutting in on his neck. No, I mean, I suggested it last week before the Fulham game and he ended up there. And he's shown in the past under Lopetegui he's really good there because he's technically a great player. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. It'd be good for someone like Fraser to become a hero, wouldn't it? Imagine if he bagged a brace or something. But, yeah, I'm really nervous. I just hope we get lucky with the injuries and I hope we can get past them. Because it'd be absolutely devastating, wouldn't it, if we don't win. It really will.
Jack, does Hugo Bueno get a look in? Nick says in the comments, and Sensei says Aït-Nouri at right wing. It's all up in the air at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's very likely that Aït-Nouri might have to play more further forward, but he did so well with it the other day that I'm quite happy with that, really. I think the sort of wing back positions or full back positions, whatever you want to call them, that's one area where we don't seem to have any injury worries because we've got, Doherty and Bueno there to step in. So yeah, potentially. the worry for me is just exactly how we're going to line up, sort of, going forward with that forward line, and it will probably have to be Fraser and Sarabia, won't it? Something like that. And then potentially flood the midfield, but we'll see. I mean, I know I'd want us to play the strongest team available. However, if we do make one or two changes, we should still have enough to get past Coventry. And that's no disrespect to Coventry. It's a massive jump up from mid-table Championship to mid-table Premier League. Everyone knows it. Look at the teams that came up like this season and how they performed. I think there'll be a few twists and turns. I don't think we'll have it all our own way. I think it could get a little bit nervy, but I'm just excited about it at the moment. But I do think we'll get through it. I think we'll get through it, and I think we'll be okay. But I think it would just be I think it'll be a good day all round.
I think if we control the midfield, and we know that's our strength at the moment, we know we've got two quality players in Gomez and Lamina working with each other well. That's where you win the game. You win those battles, control it, set the tempo yourselves, and then it comes down to who takes the chances. It's just that starting up front could be Ari and Jack.
Well, he's not going.
No, not me. I won't be there.
From James, is there a place for Noah Lamina? And I wouldn't have thought so in the starting 11. But the kids look great in training. But there's one thing on a 30-second video being put out by the club and what he's actually like in real life.
No, I don't think he won't start, will he?
There's a slight, maybe Bentley starting over Sarr seems to be the other one.
See, I don't like this. This is what I was just saying. Like go as strong as you can. And based on Sarr's performance on Saturday, where I was gutted he didn't get a clean sheet because he deserved it. It's a shame that they just got that one on so late. I think in every position where you can, go as strong and then fill in the holes which are going to be there because of injuries. And I think looking towards particularly the back of the team, the defence and the goalkeeper, just keep it the same, man.
Still with these, says keep the Bentley in the garage. I think that's a good shout. That's something that Bayliss lives by always. Let's do a score prediction, Harry.
Oh, this is horrible. Does it go straight to penalties in this round? It does, doesn't it?
It's extra time and penalties, yeah.
Oh, is it extra time as well? It's not just straight to penalties?
Yeah. It's decided on the day, but there's no replays, but it's extra time and penalties.
Oh, for some reason in my head, I thought it went straight to penalties. Okay, well, I'll go 2-2 in normal time. And then we get a late one in extra time, dramatic, and people falling over the side of the South Bank and land on their head and that, like one of them.
So it's Wembley in reverse, then, is what you're saying?
For us, we're going to win 3-2.
Yeah.
Jack?
I think Coventry will put up a good fight, but we'll win 2-0.
Bayliss?
I think it'll be slightly closer. They might score first just to make a game of it, and it's 2 or 3 or 3-1 Wolves. I'll be a bit different. I'll go 3-1 Wolves.
I think we're actually going to batter them 5-1. 5-1 easy. Clip it.
Who's going to score our goals? Who's going to score our goals? Fraser.
Jose Sarr.
Ain't Nori.
Yeah. Let's get some betting odds. Bayliss has got some bets.
Well, the football's not that interesting at the moment because we've recorded quite early in the week. So if you listen to this later in the week, sorry, we haven't got many betting odds, but everyone's got a phone with the apps to have a look. Wolves quite short, 13-8 on. 13-8 on. Coventry are over 4-1 across multiple bookies. So, yeah, not a lot in it, but it is Cheltenham week. A couple of us do quite like our horse racing. I picked out some sort of relevant ones, some that aren't very good, and I've tried to create a pun. 250 on Wednesday, you've got Mark of Gold.
Ooh, nice. Good start. Strong.
One that doesn't really work anymore, but 330 on the Wednesday, El Fabio low. But that can get in the bin.
Another Ranger shirt on.
Interestingly, 2 runners in the 410 on Thursday. We've got Shake 'em Up Harry.
Nice.
Going off against Straw Fan Jack.
Oh. Okay.
And these are just entries now, Thursday's ones, because obviously they haven't declared them. But 450 on Thursday, Golden Ace. And then I've got a couple more for you. In the last race on Thursday, the 5:30, big American listener to the podcast, a horse running called Christopher Wood. He is our biggest American fan.
Oh, the one on Twitter, yeah.
And also one for a couple of Wolves fans. A little shout out to Mr. Tranter. 5:30 on Thursday. If Wolves get to Wembley, running is back on the lash.
Excellent.
There we go.
I think we should all probably have Harry's to win it by a massive nose.
Well done.
Let's move on to a Matt Hobbs interview. Harry, he's been, I think, pretty honest and saying stuff that we would probably expect someone in his position to say. He's disappeared. It was the bullying about the nose. Attacked up for Thursday. You're back in the room, Harry. You're back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Just dropped me out. Sorry. So Matt Hobbs.
Matt Hobbs' interview was quite honest, saying that we're going to have to sell in order to buy. He name dropped Neto and João Gomez, surprisingly, as some of the players that could be moved on for obviously a very decent profit in order to bring in more. What were your thoughts on that interview? Because I suppose there's one thing expecting him to say it and one thing him actually saying it.
Yeah, he did he must have sat down with a few journalists, hadn't he? Because it was obviously Percy, Express and Star, and I think Steve Madley got it as well. But yeah, the big one obviously was the new contract for Gary O'Neill, which I think we could have all predicted, let's be honest, because of how well he's done. It'd be absolutely ridiculous not to offer Gary O'Neill a new contract, and all the stuff about Neto and Gomez and that, and having to sell a couple of big assets for a lot of money if we want to reinvest into the squad is something that Jeff Shee's been saying in every interview he's done in the last few years. So, I mean, I trust Hobbs. Every time I hear him talk, I think he's brilliant. I think he steadied the ship really well at Wolves. He's took over the mess that Scott Sellers was. He was terrible, Scott Sellers, in my opinion. We spoke about what he did to Cody the other week. And he was the man who had the sole decision to appoint Gary O'Neill after interviewing a few managers. And he got a lot of backlash at the time, and look how it's turned out. So I think O'Neill deserves a new contract because although he signed a 3-year deal, I think it was, apparently he's on really low wages. Like in football, in managing terms, it's really low. I don't know the exact figure, but yeah, he deserves a pay rise for what he's done. I mean, the objective was just to stay up, wasn't it? And we're pushing where we are, and we're doing so well in the FA Cup. So, and I think Gary O'Neill, his interviews when he was asked about it, obviously he was very vague about it and whatever, and just said, yeah, we'll discuss it. And people asking about the England job, weren't they? And he just obviously batted that off as well. But yeah, definitely deserves it. Good for Matt Hobbs to sit down, because we've moaned about communication lacking over the years, and he's very willing to speak, and he's good when he does speak. So we're in good hands with Matt Hobbs, I think.
What do you think of it, Jack? I mean, there's players that will obviously be moving on anyway. Fabio Silva's come out this week and said he'd like to stay at Rangers. We would say that's the perfect fit. I think it's his level for his age at the moment. How much do you think Fabio Silva would be worth in this market, and would it offset any of the chances of getting rid of a Neto and a Gomez?
£3 million, absolutely not. Are the answers to your two questions.
Yeah, no, very, very nice.
We're going to make a massive loss on Fabio. I think we've known that for a while, really, when he just decided to move on. And fair play to him. I think it's probably his time. And if he wants to stay at Rangers, I think he's been doing okay for them. I've seen a few ratings where the Rangers fans have seemed quite pleased with him, particularly in their European games. So yeah, fair play. But we're not going to get anywhere near 35 million for him, are we? Let's be honest. We'd be lucky to get 10. But it's just one of those things in football where you have to draw a line under it. It's still not our worst bit of business ever. So although it's up there, to be honest, it's up there, but it's not the worst one. It's frustrating to see the things like Gomez and Neto. I mean, Gomez hasn't even been here that long, so it's says a lot about how well he's settled that he's even being talked about as one of these players who is already being watched by the big clubs. Neto, though, like I said this a few weeks ago, and like the £80 million that was being thrown around for Neto, we ain't going to get that because his injury record this season has just been so bad. It's a massive risk for teams, and if anything, that might end up with him staying here longer than he originally planned, just because we're the team will look after him, and unless we can get a decent return on it, we're not going to let him move on anyway, are we? And it's a big risk for a club to come in and spend in the region of 60 to 80 million on a player who's pulled up twice in the same season with what looks like a bad hamstring problem. So we'll see, really. But I suppose that's where we are. So it just means that we have to do what we can, even with all the injuries, to win the FA Cup this season while we got these players here.
Qualify for Europe, and yeah, it just changed the trajectory, doesn't it, completely? Dan Stevens says, is it really wise to offer a new contract to Gary O'Neill, I'm guessing, after just the one season, especially as there may be doubts about further investment by Fosun? Or is it, credit where it's due?
Credit's where it's due. And everything we moaned about pre-season with the FFP stuff, not knowing it was true, seems like it's turned out to be pretty true. So they've managed that well. Yeah. The bad egg that was there in Sellers has gone. Hobbs has clearly done things right. He's a lot more transparent. Fair enough, you're never going to get it all from a football club. They just won't do it. But we're happy with the people they've brought in. The manager's been done well. They've been savvy in the way they've brought in quality first-team players at low price, which is exceptional business. If you look at our wage bill now compared to where we are in the league, it's one of the best in the whole division. So, yeah, you offer him the contract. You pay him standard rate for a Premier League manager if he's on a low one at the moment. But Fosun do have to step up in the summer, but I think that's a bridge you cross when you get to it. On the Neto thing, Jack's completely right. Would you take a risk at 60, 70 million pound plus for a player with a major injury last year and 2 this season? You don't know. But at the same time, if you go and offer someone 45, 50 million for a player you spent, what do we pay for Neto? Not a lot, really, because he came with someone else.
9 million, wasn't it?
About 17 for the 2 of them, must have been.
No one wants to hear any Wolves fan say this, but I think Fosun would probably accept that offer because the return is so good. But let's see. Hopefully we keep him. That's what everyone wants around here. And hopefully the injuries do knock that down to bids of 40 million and Fosun say...
Yeah. Harry, the one player that is rarely mentioned but was probably the closest to leaving for a big fee was Max Kilman. And obviously he came in, was it from Maidenhead? Or Maidenhead, was it, I think?
Maidstone or Maidenhead? It's
one of the maidens, a fair maiden.
A low team.
Yeah, so, I mean, Napoli came in around the £35 million mark. Obviously, it was pushed back by the club. I've seen a few comments this week that have been linking him to a possible England call-up. Firstly, what do you think of that? And secondly, do you think he's an asset that could be sold in the summer, given that he's also club captain and he's English?
Yeah, I don't think it'd be sold for that reason. Club captain. Remember in the summer as well when everyone was saying they would rather have him and gone than Collins? That didn't age very well, has it? Those comments. England, I don't think so. I don't. I know there's been a few times now where our fans have said he should be in a running for England, but for me, I can't ever see Southgate picking him, to be honest, because he don't play for a top 6 club or West Ham. So yeah, I don't think he'll be picked. He didn't even spoke about, is it? Like, you don't even hear that he's even been considered for like interim squads or anything, or he's being watched. So yeah, I can't see it myself. I'm not saying he's not good enough, because I think he's brilliant, but yeah, I can't see it, the England one.
Jack, I saw the supercomputer has crunched some numbers. It seems a bit of a waste of time, really, with only 10 games for us to go, but they've got us finishing I think it's 11th on 54 points. What do you think of that assessment?
I hate these supercomputer things. It's just a waste of everybody's time in it. Like, it's just clickbait for terrible journalists so they can say, oh, look what the supercomputers predicted, and it's like, it's never going to be right, is it? Because there's just so many variables that go into so many games of football that it's just a waste of time. And what's the point in doing it when there's 10 games left? Why don't you just do it the day before the end of the season and say, look, we got it right, look at this, we predicted Man City would win the league, and we did. We're a supercomputer. It's just a waste of time, don't care. 11th, it's possible. I'd like to think after all this we at least get a top half finish though. So if you look at our fixtures, I know we've got to play the big 3 again, which sometimes helps us. But there's lots of winnable games in there as well. There's lots of games that we should be taking points off teams below us and around us. If we were sat here now with a fully fit squad, everyone was fit, ready to go, I honestly think that we'd get into Europe. But the problem is the same thing we said, and we could see is going to happen in January, is it's just a few injuries would kill us, and now we've got more than a few, and I think our steam will run out. But even if we do finish 11th, it's a great achievement, particularly even if you just throw in an FA Cup semi-final for us all in there as well, which can be a celebration before City beat us 8-0.
But the only reason I bring it up, Harry, is because this is based on some slightly out of date figures in terms of prize money for the Premier League. But 11th, you're looking at about 22 million. But if we finished, 7th, could be 30 million. It's a big difference, isn't it? You're pushing a difference of about £9 million, depending on how strongly you finish the season. And I suppose that could be the difference between having to sell João Gomez, Pedro Neto, if you've got an extra £9 million on the bank, just on where you finish in the league. And then that doesn't play into the fact that if you do finish 7th, then you get Europe.
Yeah, that's what we just go back to what we spoke about so much. That's why I never get why they don't take a little bit of a risk in January by getting in at least a loan as backup or a very cheap. Well, it's hard to find someone who's good enough, isn't it? But yeah, you want to finish as high as you can. That's why that year under Bruno Lage, where we were like 4 points off 4th, and we ended up coming 10th, and everyone was like, a bit of investment in January. We could seriously have got top 6 that year. But yeah, I don't know. They've got their reasons for it. Fosun with the financial fair play and all this, which God, I'm fed up of saying that word, but we have to bring it up because that's they always do, and they say, well, their hands are tied. And let's be honest, you think back to the beginning of this season, Jeff Shee released an open letter and said, we have got to have the attitude as fans as a team that's just been promoted. Like, if you remember him saying that. So the fact that we're in this position now in January, he can't believe his luck probably. So they'll just take what they can get.
Yeah, interesting stuff. We have a quiz. Well, Harry has a quiz. It's Coventry themed, I believe. So I will now pass on to
Yeah, it's got what you're all going to work together. We've got 6. You got 5 players to get. The theme is we've done it before. They've played for both Wolves and Coventry. I'll give a clue. It starts off easy, gets harder, and they're 5 players.
Robbie Keane, the first one by any chance, is it?
Yeah, that's going to be first.
Well, the 5 people I've picked are people I kind of knew, so I didn't go for like mad ones. So don't worry. So yeah, question 1, Bayliss played for Wolves and Coventry. Went to Coventry for Wolves in like 99. Yeah, well, you got it. So there we go. We've got 1. Well done, Bayliss. That's the first time you ever got one without even me asking the question. But yeah, Robbie Keane has played for Wolves and Coventry. So you got that one. The second player, the clue I'll give you, he started off in Wolves Academy, left and come back.
Leon Clark.
Yeah, there we go. Leon Clark, played for Wolves and Coventry. Third one, Andy Keogh always kept him at the team. Ooh, stumped you on that one.
Freddie Eastwood.
There we go.
Well done, Jack.
Freddie Eastwood went to Coventry. I think he went to Southend after us. Failed and then went to Coventry.
Wow.
Number 4, he allegedly took a load of Wolves players for money by pretending he had like this really good business idea. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Michael McIndoe, what a knob he was. Maybe he went to Bristol.
I think that's proven, isn't it? I think it's.
Yeah, I listened to whose autobiography? I listened to. I listened to someone's autobiography. No, I listened to someone's autobiography, and it's allegedly. Is that a word? I don't know. It's real.
No,
I can't remember his book. Whose book? I think Jamie O'Hara got stung by it as well, which is fair.
That's a shame.
Yeah, what a shame. Could have happened to a nicer bloke. Last one. This one's tough. I don't know what clue. I'm going to make it a hard clue, so I could give you a really easy one. What I'll say is no.
Oh.
He might have played for Coventry, but he's not on my list.
Okay.
This bloke is an old school centre half, and he's Irish. I'll just give you that. And he played for Coventry before he came to Wolves. Like, he played for Coventry in his prime in like the mid to late 90s. Then ended his career at Wolves in the early 2000s.
Paul Butler.
No, he's English, Paul Butler.
No, he played for Ireland, Paul Butler.
He did play for Ireland.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, but it's not Paul Butler.
Don't know.
Irish and a half. We're still thinking here. Go on, comments. Someone's got to get it.
You want to give you another? If I give you one clue, you'll get it straight away.
Yeah, do that then.
Sometimes when they used to sing a song about him, he'd play in every position.
Gary Breen.
Gary Breen.
Gary Breen.
I was going to say Gary Breen, but you said early 2000. I was like, that's too early for him. Like,
he ended up. When did he retire from us? 06, 07, do you reckon?
Yeah, he was.
So what did he do? Coventry, Sunderland, and then
Yeah, he was at
Wolves,
Coventry for 4 years in like the 90s, in his prime basically, and he'd come to us. When did he come to us? 04, 05? Maybe a bit later.
Maybe I think McCarthy signed him. And
Yeah, McCarthy, and then he fell away when we got promoted, didn't he? Yeah. Some of the notables I didn't put in, some of the older listeners might know. Steve Froggatt played for Wolves and Coventry.
Mm-hmm.
Cyril Regis, the Albion legend.
Yeah.
Cedric Roussel, who was like a promising player but flopped at Wolves in the late 90s, I think. Mark Edworthy, not anyone heard of him? No. And Barry Powell, but that's going back. Barry Powell's going back to
Willie Carr as well. They said Willie Carr in the comments.
Willie Carr. There we go.
And what about Bright Enabakari? He was Coventry.
Willie Carr and Ernie Hunt. See, Gary Ambone. Is that how you say that? Gary Gambone. That you're going back to like when I was and my dad's nutsack, so I can't really. Yeah,
He's done it.
It was the best of times. It was the simplest.
And the E is next to the end of the podcast again.
Sam, just before we go, I've got to mention it. Harley Hepworth, 17th minute against Coventry.
Yeah,
they want to do a clap for him. He unfortunately lost his life due to knife crime in Wolverhampton recently, so they want to do a 17th minute clap. He's only 17. It's ridiculous.
17th minute, Harley Hepworth. Thank you very much for that, Harry. We will say goodbye to Harry Mansell.
Goodbye.
Goodbye from Dan Bayliss.
Goodbye.
And Jack Williams.
Goodbye. Come on,
that
Wolves.
is a goodbye from me.